Welcome back. The New Democrats need a new leader. It comes as the party is in crisis, almost wiped out in the last federal election, down to just 7 seats. They need to rebuild. They need to raise money. A Canadian filmmaker and journalist, Avi Lewis, is joining the race to possibly take over.
Our job as New Democrats is to do exactly that. Bring everyone together. Dream big again. Put the people's demands to the powerful and win.
Lewis is a fairly high-profile name, jumping into the race to replace Jagmeet Singh. He previously ran unsuccessfully as a candidate, though, for the NDP in the elections in both 2021 and 2025 in 2 Vancouver area ridings. Lewis grew up in a political family. His grandfather, David Lewis, was a founding member, former leader of the federal NDP. His father, Stephen Lewis, led the Ontario NDP at one point. The new leader will be elected in March. Let's bring in former NDP leader Tom Mulcair, nowadays political commentator for us here at CTV. Tom, good to see you.
Good to be with you, Todd.
All right, Avi Lewis, what do you think?
Well, I think that Mr. Lewis is going to add a lot of spice to the race because in addition to his political lineage of his grandfather and his dad, he also, of course, is the spouse of Naomi Klein, who is a very well-known, successful author who deals with very progressive issues. You mentioned it in your run-up to it, and I think it's something that the members will take into account. He has run a couple of times, and he hasn't done very well at running as a candidate. So for them, they're looking for somebody who can help other people win. And if you haven't been able to win on your own, maybe that's something that they will consider. There's another thing that I'm hearing a lot from people who are still very active in the NDP. They think it's time for the NDP to have another woman as leader. Now, the NDP, of course, has a history of powerful women leaders, but the most recent one, other than the interim of Nicole Chaumel, of course, was Alexa McDonough. So that means that Jack Layton and I, and then Jagmeet Singh have been the 3 leaders in a row, and a lot of people are going to be working hard to make sure that a woman is the next leader of the NDP. The name that I hear the most frequently is a current sitting MP from Edmonton, Strathcona, named Heather McPherson. I don't know if she's actually intending to run, but I have very clear indications from people in the party that that is the case, that she will be running. Both she and Lewis have one major problem. They don't speak French. Jack Layton began spending money on the elections in Quebec when he became leader, and people even criticized him for that, saying, why, we never win in Quebec. Well, we know the history of that. We worked really hard and we connected well with Quebecers. And even in my unsuccessful race against Trudeau in 2015, we still had 15 seats in the province of Quebec. So there is definitely that's going to come into play, because if you have a leader who can't speak a word of French, then obviously you're just saying, okay, you want nothing to do with the 78 seats in that province. And I think that would be a shame, because it would also go against all the hard work that was done for the NDP to connect with Quebecers.
How tricky is this party to lead, Tom? Frankly, you did it for many years, and there's always this debate internally. I mean, you went through it. How left is too left? How centrist is too centrist? I mean, they're trying to build this up from the ashes now.
But in Canada, we don't have ideologically driven parties. But if you do sway too far from what your base is used to, then it can cost you. There's no question about that. But I think that what we're seeing now, and I think Avi Lewis is right in his analysis of this issue, he says that the Carney Liberals are giving a chance to the NDP to reform and to revitalize. And I think his reading is right, whether it's on the environment or social issues or economic issues writ large. Mr. Carney is taking the Liberal Party quite further to the right than what we're used to seeing. So it does offer an opportunity for a party more center-left to be able to help move themselves forward and get back at least party status, which has to be the #1 goal in the next election.
One other question I've got here is the fundraising, and people often, forget about how important that is. But that it is crucial for any political party to have the funds, the resources to mount an effective voice in Canada, but also effective elections.
Yeah, and people will be paying attention to whether or not people are able to do the fundraising necessary, because they need it. They need $100,000 to get into that race, and that's not chump change. You've got to make sure that you got that. I also think that historically the NDP has had no trouble raising money, but when you're really on the outs, as they are right now, of course, the bases can be a bit demoralized, and they're going to have to work hard, because there's a 10% rule in Canadian politics. If a candidate gets 10% of the vote in the riding, then a lot of their expenses get reimbursed to the party. That's not what happened for the vast majority of NDP candidates in the last election. So the party spent a very large amount, millions and millions of dollars, but got very little of that back. So that's sort of a double problem for whoever is going to get into that seat. But if they can provide an impetus and light a fire and get people excited about the party again, well, then who knows? Maybe they'll be able to do some good fundraising.
Happy Friday, Tom. Good to see you as always.
Have a good weekend, Todd. All the best.
Tom Mulcair joining us from Quebec.